They say your life changes the moment your mind changes. But most people wait for life to change first. They wait for luck, for money, for someone to believe in them. That's what Ethan did until one rainy morning changed everything. Ethan lived in a small town where every day felt the same. He worked in a small shop, folding clothes, stacking shelves, and staring out the window at people rushing somewhere else. He wasn't unhappy, but he wasn't alive either. He had dreams once, to travel, to learn English, to build something of his own. But over time, he had learned to tell himself the same lie every morning. Maybe it's too late. He watched others succeed and thought, they're just lucky. He watched people speak fluent English and thought, they were born smart. Every excuse was another brick in the wall he built inside his mind, a wall called impossible. Until one morning, a morning that started just like any other, gray sky, tired eyes, the smell of coffee, but ended completely different. Ethan was cleaning the front window of the shop when he saw an old man selling books on the street. A small box, a plastic chair, and a handwritten sign that said, "Books that changed my life, $1 each." The words made Ethan smile. He walked over, picked one up, and read the title, "Change Your Mindset, Change Your Life." The old man looked up and said, "That one's special." Ethan laughed lightly. "Does it work?" he asked. The man smiled, eyes shining, and replied, "Only if you're brave enough to believe it." Ethan bought the book and went home. That night, instead of scrolling through his phone, he opened the first page. The first line said, "You are not stuck because of your situation. You are stuck because of your mindset." He closed the book and whispered, "Mindset." That word stayed in his mind all night. The next morning, something small changed. Instead of saying, "I hate my job," he said, "I'm thankful I have one." Instead of thinking, "I can't learn English," he said, "Maybe I can start small." It was simple, just words, but those words were like turning on a light in a dark room. Ethan started listening to short English podcasts while walking to work. At first, he understood nothing. It was just noise. But he told himself, "My brain is learning even if I don't understand yet." He kept going. Every morning, every walk, every word. After a week, he started to recognize sounds. After a month, he caught small sentences. After 3 months, he could follow an entire story. He realized something. His brain wasn't the problem, his mindset was. Before, he used to think, "I'll try if I feel motivated." Now, he thought, "I'll do it until I feel motivated." That single change of thought changed everything. At work, he started using English words when labeling clothes. Shirt, jacket, blue jeans. He spoke to himself in English quietly when customers weren't around. People thought he was weird. He didn't care. He was training his mind to believe he could be better. One afternoon, a tourist couple walked into the shop. They asked, "Do you speak English?" Ethan froze for a moment, then smiled and said slowly, "A little bit." They smiled back. He helped them find what they needed. When they left, they said, "Thank you, your English is good." That one sentence made his heart race, not because his English was perfect, but because he realized he could actually do it. That night, he opened the same old book again. A line caught his eye. The difference between a fixed mind and a growing mind is simple. One says, "I can't." The other says, "I'll learn how." Ethan underlined those words. He began waking up 1 hour earlier every morning. He watched motivational videos in English, read simple articles, and wrote one new word on his mirror each day. At first it was just 1, then 10, then 100. But the change wasn't just in his English, it was in his thinking. He stopped blaming the world. He stopped waiting for motivation. He started creating it. One day, he told his coworker, "I'm learning English. I want to work abroad someday." The coworker laughed. You're too old for that. Ethan smiled and replied softly, maybe I'm not too old. Maybe you're too afraid. For the first time in years, he didn't let someone else's mindset control his. Months passed. Ethan grew more confident. He began helping tourists who visited the shop. He started writing small English paragraphs about his day. He even made a simple goal. I will apply for an online English course. But the course required a video introduction, in English. That scared him. He almost gave up. Then he remembered the first page of that old book. You are not stuck because of your situation. You are stuck because of your mindset. He took a deep breath, turned on his phone camera, and said, Hello, my name is Ethan. I'm learning English because I believe change starts with the mind. He made mistakes. He stuttered. He forgot some words. But he finished, and he smiled. 2 weeks later, an email arrived. Congratulations, you've been accepted into our English learning program. He couldn't believe it. The boy who once said maybe someday finally said today. In that online class, Ethan met students from all over the world. Each one had their own story. One was a mother learning English at 50. One was a student from a small island studying with a broken phone. One was a taxi driver practicing pronunciation between rides. They all shared one thing, a new mindset. Ethan learned more than grammar. He learned about growth, about courage, about belief. He realized that mindset is like a muscle. The more you train it, the stronger it becomes. One evening, during a group discussion, the teacher asked, What's one thing that changed your life? Everyone gave different answers, but when it was Ethan's turn, he said quietly, It wasn't a thing, it was a thought. He smiled and added, The moment I stopped saying I can't and started saying I'm learning, everything changed. The class clapped. The teacher said, That's the best answer I'd heard all year. Months later, Ethan received a new offer, a chance to work at a big store in the city. The letter said English skills preferred. He packed his bags, left his small town, and stepped into a bigger world. The city lights were bright. The people moved fast. The signs were all in English. And for the first time, he didn't feel small. He felt ready. At his new job, he spoke English with customers every day. Sometimes he made mistakes, but he didn't hide them anymore. He laughed, learned, corrected himself, and moved on, because he knew that progress mattered more than perfection. One night, Ethan walked home from work, the city lights reflecting in his eyes. He thought about the boy who once said, Maybe it's too late. He smiled and whispered, It was never too late. I just needed a new mind. He stopped by a bookstore on the way home. And guess what he saw on the shelf? The same title, Change Your Mindset, Change Your Life. He picked up a copy and bought it, not for himself, but for someone else. The next day, he saw a young boy cleaning outside the store, looking tired, hopeless, lost. Ethan smiled, handed him the book, and said, That one's special. It changed my life. The boy looked at him curiously and asked, Does it really work? Ethan's eyes shined, just like the old man's once did. He smiled and said, Only if you're brave enough to believe it. And that's the truth about life, my friend. Change doesn't start when the world changes. It starts when you do. When you stop waiting for permission. When you stop saying, I can't. When you start asking, what can I learn from this? Your mindset is your map. If it says impossible, you'll never move. But if it says possible, you'll find a way, even through storms, doubts, and fear. Ethan's story isn't just his, it's yours too. Because every one of us has a wall built by fear, doubt, and excuses. But if you push through it, even a small crack of belief can bring in the light. So tonight, when you go to bed, whisper to yourself, Tomorrow, I'll think different. Because that's where all miracles begin. Not in luck, not in money, not in talent, but in the quiet decision to change your mindset. And who knows? Maybe one day you'll be the one handing that same book to someone else with a gentle smile and the same simple words, "That one's special. It changed my life."